Agent Morris with the NSA.
There is something real here.
Did you believe that our government is in possession of UAPs?
Absolutely, based on interviewing over 40 witnesses over 4 years.
And where?
I know the exact locations, and those locations were provided to the Inspector General and Schmowich to the intelligence committees. I actually had people with the first-hand knowledge provide a protected disclosure to the Inspector General. Biologics came to some of these recoveries. Yeah.
Those could represent exquisite new adversary technology.
Non-human, and that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program I talked to that are currently still on the program.
The government is covering up some level of its knowledge and understanding about what some of those things are.
The Soul Foundation, which just announced a new initiative for UFO research and policy.
It's nuts, man. I mean, we're just small-town buds who saw a UFO in the woods. I mean, now we're hanging out with the government.
Wow. What floor were you guys on?
Hello, everybody. This is Smiles Lewis, and you are tuned into another edition of Anomaly Now, straight out of Austin, Texas. It is Wednesday, October 23rd, 2024. This is not a live broadcast. I am pre-recording this because tonight, of course, we are going to be at our usual 7 o'clock time offering our monthly Patreon tiered presentations with a wonderful talk by Greg Bishop on Can Hard Data and Materialism Solve the UFO Enigma. That is happening tonight at 7 p.m. If you are interested, you can still go over there and sign up and become a patron at the $10 a month or higher level. That's the Anomaly Academy Cadet tier or higher. And we'd love to see you there for that chat tonight. So this is going to be airing at 6 p.m. Tonight, instead of at our usual 7 p.m., so as not to conflict with that lecture. But thank you for joining us early or in the rebroadcast. We really appreciate it. Like we said, you can always go to our website, anomalyarchives.org, and find links to past editions of our newsletter, information about our 7,000 plus books, find out about our nonprofit mission of preserving UFO history, paranormal history, and all kinds of materials associated with all sorts of anomalous subjects. We also, next month, coming up in November, are going to be having a presentation by a good friend Joe Green on a theoretical approach to conspiratorial thinking. That'll be on Saturday, November 16th, 2024, again at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Hope you'll join us for that. Joe's got a lot of interesting perspectives, as of course does tonight's presenter, Greg Bishop. All right, well, let's dive right in. Of course, you can go to our flipboard.com/@Anomaly Archives webpage and find all kinds of great links. A good friend, Pete, sent me the link to one of these articles and called my attention to this Minnesota-based Bigfoot conference, calling all Bigfoot stories, where people share encounters with the cryptid giant. That one's over at superiortelegram.com by journalist Jeremy Fugelberg, as well as another one that I think is not behind a paywall. Oh yeah, he's real. My Wild Day at the Minnesota Bigfoot Conference over at racketmn.com by Jay Bowler. Some great, wonderful, big news coming out of, I thought I already, maybe I didn't link this yet. Some great news coming out of not Roswell, New Mexico, Albuquerque, Rio Rancho, New Mexico, about David Marler and friends' new partnership with the local school systems there. You can go to KOB.com. That's a local news affiliate there in Albuquerque, New Mexico. The headline, Public UFO Records Archive opens in Rio Rancho. You can watch the video there or go to their YouTube channel. I'll have the link in the show notes for tonight. This is just so great. David Marler's organization, NUFO HRC, National UFO Historic Records Center there in Rio Rancho, New Mexico. They have partnered with the local AISD Independent School District and have gotten space in some of the temporary trailers there to house this material. And I just think that is so wonderful. And you get a glimpse of the setup at this link. And I would encourage you to go check that out. It's really cool. And so moving right along, this is going to be a very brief episode because we still have to get over for the show. But man, I think I promoted this last week, the telepathytapes.com, their podcast that is an introduction to the in production documentary about this telepathy research documentation effort by Kai Dickens. And man, I'm still catching up. Well, rather, I've caught up to all the podcast episodes that are publicly available. I think there's the 4 more episodes going to be available in about a week or so. And this has reinvigorated my lifelong interest in telepathy. As someone raised by a single parent, I had a very close, deep friendship and connection with my mother, and she very early on in my life instilled in me this sense of, if I were ever in trouble, to just think hard and transmit to her, and she would try to receive that and help if she could. And we had some experiences in our life where that seemed to really happen. All this is to say, the telepathy tapes is different than that, other than it involves this close connection between parents and their kids, particularly children on the spectrum, somewhere on the spectrum of the autistic spectrum, and as well as hearing from teachers who've worked with them and their firm belief and seemingly the evidence as documented in this effort by Kai Dickens to show that these kids can communicate and are communicating telepathically, or are receiving information from their parents, from teachers, and transmitting it to them. It's fascinating. I really think you'll get a lot out of this. Of course, the podcast is free. You can go to the website, thetelepathytapes.com. There they have links to videos of all the experiments that you'll hear about in the free podcast. Now, I think from what I've tried to access, that these may all require you to make a one-time $10 donation. I have not done that yet myself, but I plan to, because I do think this is a worthy cause. It is certainly plausible and possible that there is deception or on the part of these individuals. I do not think that's what's going on here. It's also possible that they're deluding themselves and that they want to believe this and that it is not actually occurring. But honestly, I'm easily swayed by the testimony and the audio I'm hearing, and I suspect I will be equally swayed when I finally see the videos. And you can listen to the podcast episodes over there at the website or on your favorite podcatcher. Like I said, I believe the first 6 episodes are already available. The last one, on the 6th episode, dropped on October 14th, and these will be being made available. The next 4 episodes will be coming out soon, so you may want to check that out. Okay, no, I haven't gotten all these links. I have not gotten all my tabs ready yet. So I have repeatedly encouraged folks to check out journalist Micah Hanks' work. We just dropped another episode. All right. Okay. So Micah Hanks, of course, has long been involved in paranormal journalism and podcasting, And you can find out more about him at micahhanks.com, where you can, if you so choose, become a X subscriber and get extra content beyond the free content. It's all good. The free content and the X subscriber content. But yes, this one just dropped. UFOs and counterintelligence, false narratives, and fake UAP programs. Oh boy. Very curious to see what he has to say there. Have not heard that yet, but of course have been listening to these more recent past ones having to do with his thoughts on the Immaculate Constellation database allegations, revelations, speculations. But really what I wanted to call folks' attention to is this October 18th episode that I just finished listening to today here on October 23rd, Wednesday. Podcast Disinformation in the Age of Disclosure. I was expecting more commentary about the Immaculate Constellation confabulations, speculations, disinformation, but no, he's actually going on about Lou Elizondo. And Micah is a very level-headed and equal, very egalitarian person, and I really always commend him for his efforts. And I'm a little surprised to hear him in this episode really taking to task, as he has been hinting at for some time, the problems that he has with Lou Elizondo's claims. And he dissects in this X podcast, Disinformation in the Age of Disclosure, the information that Lou has been putting out in regards to claims about Roswell and his appearances on various media shows promoting his book. And yeah, he has some very important things to say about Lou that basically amount to his belief that he is not specifically a disinformation agent, but rather is spreading misinformation in the form of just recapitulating echo chamber style, as has been alleged in that Arrow report, of these stories, these myths, and bits of information that are out there. And it supports what I've been saying all along, which is that it doesn't seem like Lou is offering anything particularly new, and that in his new book, Imminent, there doesn't seem to be any particularly new revelations. And anyway, I would highly recommend, if you're not already a subscriber, that you consider becoming one and listening to this particular episode and all of the X episodes. But all of Micah Hanks' material is good and worthy of your time and attention. Now, I've also talked about other podcasts that I really enjoy, including where is it? I had all of this open already. I swear. So yeah, I've talked about the podcast Patterns Tell Stories by Klaus and Garrett, and I really enjoy their back and forth and the copious quotes that they read from. They very much are Lou Elizondo acolytes. They seem to believe he can't do anything wrong. I know that's an oversimplification of their view, but they're much more well-versed in the Tom DeLonge post-2017 arena. And so it's always great to hear their digestion of that information. And also then to hear them discovering what to old hats at the UFO scene like myself and others might be like, yeah, we're well aware of that. But they often draw connections and parallels that I was not aware of or familiar with or had forgotten. That happens. But as always happens with every show, there's always something, usually multiple things that they bring up that send me down a rabbit hole to look into other areas of interest. And sure enough, they mentioned Carol Rosin, the famous, infamous cohort of Stephen Greer, who really came to my awareness in 2001 when I believe she appeared with Greer in that famous press conference at the press club trying to bring about disclosure. This is pre 9/11, 2001, I think March maybe. And that was when I think I first heard her talk about, or maybe it was after that. Maybe anyway, she's the one who has long maintained that she was Werner von Braun's assistant back in 74 to 77, I think, and that he told her that there was going to be this continual escalation of external existential threats that were going to be used to justify space-based weapons like SDI, Star Wars, and that it was a progression from, foreign adversaries like the Soviets to terrorists to independent rogue nations to asteroids, and ultimately, as she puts it, or she says he put it, the alien card. But what they mentioned was something if I had heard this, I really have completely blocked it from my mind. But apparently, she's been claiming for some time that how do I say this? That early in her relationship with Werner von Braun, that he tasked her with speaking on his behalf, and that he somehow psychically, technologically, psychotronically beamed a speech to her live and on the fly for 30 minutes over a great distance while he was sick in a hospital bed. And I was shocked about this, and then looked it up, and here is a video of her making that claim. It's about 2.5 minutes.
His real concern, the biggest concern he had, was about the psychotronic weapons. Those are mind-controlled weapons, mind-controlled people or technology. Very dangerous weapons. The first big speech that I gave for Werner von Braun was in July of 1974. It was soon after I had met him, just a few months after I had met him. He gave me the assignment of speaking in Chicago at McCormick Hall to 18,000 people. The only other speech I had ever given was in a PTA meeting, and I had rehearsed that speech in the mirror the night before about mustard being squirted in the cafeteria by the children. I was so nervous. Now I was going to appear before 18,000 people. Nervous takes on a new meaning. What he said to me was, however, I'm going to send you 5 books in a taxi cab, take these pink index cards and take some notes, and you will introduce a live satellite demonstration, the Fiji Islands, some other countries, and you will tell about this live satellite demonstration. I had no idea what he was talking about. And he said, but that's not a worry either. Don't worry, you don't have to really read all of these books because I'm going to transmit the speech to you. And I said, how are you going to transmit the speech to me? You're going into the hospital. And he said, I'm going to transmit it as though you're talking on the telephone. Well, I memorized the best I could these little pink index cards, and I got up on the stage. There were 18,000 people in front of me. There was a podium with my picture on it. I had to put my hand over the screen. I had no idea what I was going to say because I couldn't see the pink index cards because I was perspiring and it was dripping down my face. When suddenly I heard in my left ear Werner von Braun talking to me like he was talking on the telephone. And he transmitted this speech to me, the entire speech, for 35 minutes in my left ear. I heard myself then talking about KU band and C band, and I was just repeating what he was saying. But he was in a hospital bed on the East Coast, and I was in Chicago with nothing, no technology in my ear, standing in front of 18,000 people, listening to him transmit the speech.
Wow. I don't know what to make of that. Of course, I have a long history of being interested in supposed psychotronic mind control technologies. That's why I named my 1990s zine ELF, as in extremely low frequency radiation, ELF infested spaces, of course, a reference to Terence McKenna's ELF infested spaces. And that was one of the main areas that I researched, was technological mind control technologies And I don't know that I've ever heard this story of hers. But anyway, well, thank you yet again, Patterns Tell Stories. Again, they're at patternstellstories.com. They're Klaus and Garrett, the two hosts that do that. And you can listen to them on their podcast. Fun stuff, usually interesting, always. Okay, so some other just quick bits. I just wanted to share with you that you might want to check out this article by Alex Matsuo over at alexmatsuo.com. Why you shouldn't use generative AI in spirit communication. Now, I'm not familiar with any examples of where this is being done by paranormal researchers, but she's much more plugged into that community than I am, and she's very sensitive to a variety of issues surrounding the bad aspects of the paranormal and occult and esoterica UFO research communities, and she's often quick to speak out about that, as she and everybody should. And it's a good article talking about everything on the obvious, just like, well, this is all based on the backs of people's creative works that have been cannibalized by these big corporations, and thus the ethical concerns in that level. But beyond that, so highly recommend this article. Let's see. So under the ethical concerns, she says, ethical concerns also arise when using AI in spirit communication. There's a risk that the process could trivialize or disrespect both spirits and investigators. AI-generated responses could create a false sense of communication. This may be harmful, especially to those seeking closure, comfort, or understanding through spiritual means. Relying on AI in these cases can lead to unintended consequences. This includes deep emotional harm for those who believe they are receiving messages from the other side. Moreover, using AI for spirit communication could lead to a loss of the human element. The human element is often central to the investigation process. Paranormal investigations are subjective experiences that rely on human intuition, empathy, and personal connection. AI lacks the emotional and intuitive capacity to engage meaningfully with spirits. This means it cannot replicate the personal interactions that are often key to understanding or communicating with the paranormal. Obviously, there's a lot more here to that article, and you can find out that you can read that and more at her website, alexmatsuo.com. And this one is not anything new. This is over at do512.com. That 512 is the area code that used to be the only area code for Austin before it became so big that they needed multiples. And so do512.com is a directory of events for folks who want to find something interesting to do in the 512 area code here in Austin, Texas. And this article actually goes back at least to 2016. I know they re-promote it every year, maybe with some slight alterations. I haven't seen anything big change on it, but it is a nice quick overview for folks on some of the fun mysteries, weirdnesses about Austin. So I was just going to quickly draw your attention to these. Of course, they start with talking about Hairy Man Road. Hairy Man Road is up in Round Rock, and there is a Hairy Man Festival now. This is kind of a wild man tale that also has elements of a poltergeist or haunting or ghost apparition case. Very interesting confluence of various types of folklore and paranormal esoteric experiences. Then there are the folklore surrounding Austin's moon towers and their association with the America's first serial killer, the Servant Girl Annihilator. No one was ever conclusively shown to be the one individual behind the Servant Girl killings. It's a very weird and complicated case. There's some very good books out there, including one by Skip Hollandsworth of Texas Monthly fame. Highly recommend. But the funny thing about the Austin Moon Towers, at least the way it's described in Skip Hollandsworth's book, is that Austin bought these as a lighting system, this cutting edge lighting system, as they were already kind of falling out of favor in other big metro areas around the country. And we were buying them and putting them up. They basically were designed to provide a nighttime lighting system for the city. And I think at one time we had 31 towers, and now there's very, very few left. But we do have a few remaining. Unfortunately, they've taken several down. Some, I think they said, were going to be renovated, but that hasn't happened yet. Not too far from me here in South Austin is this wonderful old university, St. Edward's. And there's a very tragic story about a ghost haunting the Mary Moody Northern Theater that is believed to be the spirit of a young man who hung himself, presumably, I believe, a lover's kind of unrequited love type situation. It says, though accounts vary, the origin of the apparition stems from a suicide that took place during the 1980s. During an exceptionally cold winter, a young theater student, depressed from a recent breakup, snuck into Mary Moody and hung himself from the light grid hanging above the stage. Now he haunts the theater, scaring unaware students during the early hours of the morning. Some have even spotted nooses hanging from the lighting grid. Others have heard the ghost screaming throughout the night, furious with the rage of unrequited love. Interestingly enough, one of my best friends has had 2 UFO sightings within half or quarter mile of that location. And it's got great views of the city. So if you ever want to check it out, it's a great place to see the skyline of Austin. Janis Joplin and the Pink Palace, of Ghosts at the Driscoll Hotel. This is all pretty well-known stuff. This one, Moloch, the Illuminati, and the Frost Bank Tower building. They don't say this here, and maybe they've revised it, but it's my understanding and my memory of this is that shortly after this was built, it was on Alex Jones's local access TV show, and I guess on his radio show at the time, if he was doing it at the time, where his assistant, Mike Hansen, I believe, claimed to have overheard the architect claiming that it was designed as an owl, to appear as an owl, as a reference to his Rice University alma mater, their how you say, the owl that is representative of Rice University. Now, most often I hear people joke that it looks more like a big nose hair trimmer because of the strange shape on the top. But as with any clock tower viewed from a corner angle, the clock towers, the clocks, the round circles can appear as 2 eyes. And this critter does have angles at the corner that also imply kind of a sloped beak. Now, the references to Moloch, to my knowledge, there's no references to Moloch from any authorities as being associated with owls. But of course, Alex Jones is famous for having, at the instigation of the author of The Men Who Stare at Goats, John Ronson, having infiltrated Bohemian Grove in California, where they actually have a big stone owl statue where they perform a mock sacrifice, the cremation of care ceremony. Anyway, that's the story as I understand it. And that's also mentioned here. The case of the stolen kidneys. Now, organ harvesting folklore, I don't know that I don't know why they're associating with this with Austin. They don't give any background as to why they're including this or cite a source that would give any credence to the idea that this is a local story, but there you go. And of course, Matthew McConaughey's Naked Bongo Night, where he was in fact arrested for playing bongos naked in his own front yard in the middle of the night, and then had to do a lot of community service, some of which I think we've played on this show. And then the very sad story of the Treaty Oak poisoning, this amazingly beautiful, powerful, historic oak tree that was poisoned by a local, again, over some kind of lover's quarrel, quote, to entrap its spiritual energy and win the love of a woman. It's a sad tale, but I believe the tree is still alive even after all it's been through. Of course, Austin has often been referred to as the city of the Violet Crown, a reference to venerated short story writer O. Henry, once describing Austin as, quote, a city cloaked in a violet crown in his classic detective story, Tick-Tock, the Great French Detective in Austin. Again, I don't know what the reference to lithium is. Like, there's no explanation. Just this idea that somehow the haze, the wonderful sunsets, and the weirdness, the happiness of Austin residents is somehow kind of being described as stemming from us being exposed to clouds of lithium. It's pretty ridiculous, but I think they're trying to be fun and silly here. Of course, another legendary haunted spot in Austin is the Clay Pit, a beloved Indian restaurant that resides in the historic Bertram Building, one of Austin's oldest establishments, built in 1853. I know a number of local paranormal enthusiasts have done investigations there, and it always comes up. The origin of Bevo's name. Yeah. Affordable Austin. This one, I don't know if this is new, but I don't remember seeing this one before, but it's hilarious because, of course, the myth of there ever having been an affordable Austin. I was lamenting this to my mother last week when I was reminding her of when I first got priced out of Austin, my hometown. I wasn't born here, but I've been here since kindergarten. And I remember the rising rates in the 1990s, the mid 90s. It was just becoming way too expensive to live here. And I had to move just outside of the city limits into my Unabomber shack in the woods down by Boggy Creek in South Austin. There's 2 Boggy Creeks, by the way. There are 2 Boggy Creeks, one up north and one up down south. Totally unconnected. Anyway, the idea of affordable Austin being a classic urban legend, I find very humorous. All right. I think that is it. Again, you can go to patreon.com/Anomaly Archives, and you can become a member at the $10 a month or higher tier. That is the Anomaly Academy Cadet tier or higher, and that gets you access to each month's live online lecture, as well as the growing back catalog of other past lectures. We started this in June, so we've got a growing catalog of material. And of course, coming up tonight at 7 o'clock, just here in a few minutes, looks at fake wristwatch, is Greg Bishop presenting on, yes, can hard data and materialism solve the UFO enigma? That is tonight at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And if you're not able to catch it, you can, again, these are archived. You can go back and watch it. And we appreciate your support. All the money goes to help us preserve these thousands of materials that we have, and to also educate the public about them in various ways. Then coming up next month, we've got Joe Green giving a presentation, a theoretical approach to conspiratorial thinking, that you will find very, very enlightening. And that's going to do it for tonight. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your support. Like and subscribe, spread the word, and be safe out there. And happy Halloween.